Oh,
Hi, hi. What's up, Speedtards? Today we're going to be interviewing Faust, who is a an
just an
artist,
artist.
artist, animator. Yeah. How would you describe your art to the FF audience?
I
To
have
start.
actually I struggled a lot with what to call myself because when you draw funny animals, since I'm a furry, it's when you see like all the artists out there who are drawing beautiful things, and you only draw like anthropomorphical animals, it's very hard to call yourself an artist. So, but lately I have like learned to accept myself as an artist and illustrator, something like that. I'm comfortable with that word now.
Okay. I feel I should have done a better job of introducing you to start. Like I said, I'm not like a professional podcaster or anything.
It's all right.
Faust is based out of Argentina. She's an
Yeah.
artist. She's kind of involved with the furry community, but I kind of sense she's trying to branch out of that a bit. Some of her recent art has been like very futurist inspired. So, um, yeah. Let's talk about let's start with furryism. So, like, how did you get into the furry community, and like, was it the art that piqued your interest, or I don't know. I'm like a
Okay.
boomer. I don't understand any of this stuff. So it's
Yeah,
like,
it's going to be an interesting topic because like I am like 20 years old. I don't know how old are you, but I know that people call you a boomer, so you must be like a decade older maybe. I don't want to be rude, but it's going to be interesting because there's going to be a lot of like feedback. I can talk to you a lot
yeah,
about a
yeah.
lot of things. You will learn, I will learn. So it's
Melantip is
um
listening, and he's not gonna unless he has a question. Just be normal. Don't be a dick, Melantip. Like,
yeah,
Just
don't be
one
misogynistic.
question.
Yeah.
Are you an
okay.
Arab woman?
No, I am Latin American. I'm from Argentina.
Oh, okay. Right, because with dialect I was confused and I just thought Arab. That's
Why?
Oh,
everything. Thank you for the question.
It's
all
alright.
right.
It's alright.
Thanks, Melantip. Um, anyway, where were we? Sorry about that.
Yeah,
Um,
funny.
all right. So furryism. How did you get into that scene? And like, was it the art
Well,
or the lifestyle? I don't know.
I don't really know about the furry lifestyle. I I don't know what that is. I know that a lot of the furry lifestyle implies like being gay and showing orgies. I don't have anything to do with that. And well, I know that there's a furry community in Argentina, and well, as I say, most of the furry lifestyle really revolves about that kind of social um, life, and I don't really partake on it. I don't really want to make furry friends. I just really like the art, and it was I got into it mostly like as a summer job. Like, right, I'm at a great point in my life where I can draw like pretty well, and I think people will pay me for doing art. So let's do it.
Yeah,
I will make an account in Fair Affinity that is like the main site where furry art is uploaded, and just make a little bit of money, and that's it. But
okay,
well,
so
here I am.
yeah, it's like a practical like thing. Like, it's lucrative or whatever. There's money to be made from doing furry
Yeah.
art. But it's not what really inspires you or what you want to do with your art forever. Like, I don't know, like how did you get into drawing and like painting and stuff like that? In the
Well,
first place, I guess.
yeah. I started very young actually. My mom and my dad always tell me how I will spend so much time just doodling in like the walls or in any in any place I could find, and just I was just very dedicated to that when I was a very uh, solitary child. So I just drawn for fun and for everything, but I didn't really get into it until I like got my first computer and started consuming anime, anime was my first motive to start drawing because I saw, oh my god, cute anime girl, let's draw it. But it was that I didn't really have any incentive to draw first when I was in this age, like I was
Yeah,
like
yeah,
13. So I just like copied anime pictures and all of that.
yeah. You
That's more or
should
less
pick
how I started.
you should pick it up because like you genuinely enjoy it. I think first and foremost, and you know, so like anime was like the first thing that like inspired you to start drawing.
Yeah.
So, which animes did you like? Like,
Oh, the animes of my childhood. Well, that's a big question. Like I was a big rebel through my like childhood and adolescence, but I remember like the first animes I was exposed to was Dragon Ball and Naruto and then Bleach, and then I started watching like short 12 episode animes. I don't really remember them right now because I don't really think about that right now. It's been a long time since I picked up an anime. I feel like it's mostly not that I'm not interested anymore. It's just that my attention span sadly is very short right now, so it's quite hard for me.
okay, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I mean, like when I was a kid, I definitely watched like Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z on like TV and shit. Like it was on, so like I'd watch it. I was never like super into anime though. Like I'm still not. Like I kind of like the Studio Ghibli movies or whatever because they're
Yeah.
like wholesome. I like Porco Rosso a lot, but and like
I
some of
watched
the
Porco Rosso
yeah.
some days ago with an Italian friend, so it was very nice.
Yeah, yeah, it's a sweet movie. It's wholesome. Like,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, like I've seen
After
Akira
that,
and stuff like that, and Berserker. I guess that stuff's cool, but I'm not like all
yeah.
about it. Like I don't know that much about anime, so
Yeah,
I
I
don't
was
know.
more about it when I was younger. That's it. But it's
Yeah,
not really
that's
my
fair.
incentive to draw right now. After that, I mean, I started learning, like finding my place and how do you say this,
Yeah,
individuality as an artist. When well, I will tell you something first. Something very common among like the art community, among Zoomers, is like having your own characters, original characters, OC for short, and that's just like characters you like create yourself. It can be just like a persona or like like a character from a whole story you have invented for yourself. And that's when I started actually dedicating myself and having an incentive, because I remember when I was very young, I wanted to start reading the classics, and the first one I read was Goethe's Faust. That's why I choose my name right now, because of that
yeah,
book. And well, I liked it so much. Goethe's Faust is like my all-time favorite. Such a great tale. I started actually like writing fan fiction about the book and about the characters, and most of my original characters are like a retale of the original Faust characters. So that's most of my art journey was because of that, because I liked something, I want to write something, and I also want to make art of these characters aside from that.
yeah. What about Faust like inspires you, or like what resonates with you about Faust and that
Well,
story?
Faust, I can talk for hours about Faust. The
Okay,
first tale is like a lovely dramatic tale, but the second tale is like an ode to humanity. I find it so romantic because people think that Faust is like the Faustian bargain. In the Goethe Faust books, people think it's like a bargain between Mephistopheles and Faust, when it's really about a bargain between the devil and God. Because in the second book, actually, the one who wins is Faust. instead of God and Mephistopheles. Since in the end Faust is saved and he goes to heaven, and Mephistopheles loses. But God doesn't win anyways. He doesn't win because, well, Faust, the human, could really, how do you say this? Faust could win against God and the devil because he could make something out of nothing. He could use Mephistopheles, the devil, as a way to make something great. And he didn't need God. He was by himself and he could really show how humanity can prevail beyond God and evil. So that's, in short, what really inspires me. It's like not a fight between good and evil, it's just the fight between God and evil versus humans versus humanity.
Yeah. There's like a duality between the two, like, you know, like the yin and the yang. There's both the good and the bad. And it's all about
Yeah.
balance, or I, I don't know.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
I
what?
wrote a
What?
lot for fan fictions about that. Like I
Okay.
remember that
Yeah.
in the first book, like Margaret dies, and I was just quite sad because in the second part of the book, Margaret doesn't really appear, and I thought, man, I really want Margaret to punish Faust for being an asshole to her and killing and ruining her life. So I'm going to make Margaret God, and I'm going to make Mephistopheles make a deal with her to make Faust miserable. So yeah, a lot of my inspiration to make art is actually all those silly ideas that I get from books, from things I want to write, from things that I want to make besides art. Art is like a compliment for me.
Yeah. I noticed you did a portrait of Dante Alighieri,
Yeah,
the Italian poet. Who I'm a big fan of. I like Inferno a lot, and
yeah, me too.
the Divine Comedy in general, but especially Inferno. What do you like about Dante? Um,
I like Dante a lot because, well, he's the first one to start, the first one to really make, I mean, like what Romanticism did was starting to showcase the languages of other like wait, I'm sorry, I have a little bit of stage fright and English is not my best language, so
yeah, that's
I'm a
fair.
little
That's
bit
fair.
so
Take your
I like
time.
first
Take
that
your
it
time.
was the first book that was written in Italian, and it really helped me when I tried to learn it. So that's the first one.
Okay.
And also, I am very inspired by Dante, not really by the book in general. I really like the book for some reasons, but I really like Dante because he's like this uh, this artist that is extremely inspired by his own muse. I think the love that Dante felt for, how was his crush called? I forgot about it. Um, for
Um,
Beatrice, yeah, Beatrice. I find
Beatrice. Okay.
the love that Dante felt for Beatrice super romantic. I love the idea of the muse. I love how Dante, in his whole Divine Comedy, basically said that a man will accompany you towards hell, but a woman is the only one that will take you to heaven. So I find that super inspiring. I'm very inspired by the idea of a muse, and I always keep it by my side. I just really like the way he was inspired by that, by the love he felt. That it didn't really need to be. It wasn't, how do you say this? It wasn't. He didn't receive the love he wanted from Beatrice, but he could make something out of it. He could make the most known classic out of the love he felt. Like you don't really need to be
Yeah.
loved
Yeah.
back. You can use that love to make something greater. And that's what I really love about it. That's why Dante is like one of my favorite men ever.
Yeah. He's also like an iconic figure of like Italian culture in general. Like the Divine Comedy is like a massive like achievement or whatever. It's like a classic, epic
Yeah.
poem. And yeah,
And
it's
in
just like
general, I really like the way he just sends all the people he hated to hell, like all the popes, all his friends, all his all his
yeah,
teachers are just there hanging out in hell. And I find it
yeah,
very funny that he's so influential that the way we see hell nowadays is basically the way he described it. So that's
yeah.
really something to notice of how influential he is.
Yeah, like Inferno is very scathing of like a lot of the political figures and such of the day. Like he's depicting them in hell, like being tortured and shit. Like
Yeah.
it's a pretty edgy text that I mean, even still. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I was really into like death metal and shit. Like when I read it many moons ago now, like when I was in my like early 20s and shit. And
Hmm.
that's why because it's the one about like hell and shit. You know, I heard it was like
Yeah.
grotesque and gruesome. You know, I was kind of into that. But yeah, Dante is great. You also did like a portrait of Oscar Wilde recently. I like
Yeah.
Oscar Wilde a lot too. I enjoyed that one a lot.
Yeah, I know him by I read the book. What is it called? His only novel, The Picture of
The
Dorian Gray,
portrait,
The
yeah, the
Portrait of
portrait
Dorian
of
Gray.
Dorian
I read
Gray,
it
where the portrait
years
like
ago.
encapsulates his youth or whatever, and
Yeah, I
or
read
like
it because of
the
like the card
portrait,
game.
yeah, the
Because since
portrait
I am
gets
obsessed with
older, but
Faust,
yeah,
I'm obsessed
yeah,
with
yeah.
Faust, so I searched for other books that really contain the bargain with the devil. But I don't really remember it now. I just like recently started to read some things about Oscar Wilde, and I just noticed that he was such a great man. He had such genius. I really wanted to make a portrait of him.
His writing was very witty. He was like part of the decadent movement that like Gabriele D'Annunzio was also like part of in
Yeah.
Italy. But like the same kind of energy and spirit behind them. And like a lot of his like quotables or whatever, like there's kind of overlap with like egoism a lot. He was a very witty guy. And a great wordsmith, a great poet. I read his complete works also a long time ago, but like the picture of Dorian Gray, great story. It's like a morality play, and it's about like growing old versus youth. Sometimes it's better to just grow old with pride, and
Yeah.
keep your conscience intact. Because like the whole thing is like he has this painting drawn or whatever, and like the painting does age, and it's him who like retains his youth, but like as his spirit becomes more corrupted by that, like the painting gets uglier and uglier or whatever. It's like
Mhm.
it's how he actually would age or something. But yeah, it's a classic. What else inspires you like in the here and now? Like artistically, like not writers, but like painters or visual artists.
Yeah,
Um,
I actually don't really remember the artist that I get inspiration from. I just really like searching Pinterest and just finding things that I like. Most of my artistic journey is like self-doubt. I didn't really look up to any artist until now that I really just started to search for different vanguards and learning from different techniques and everything because I just really want to try new things. I felt like
yeah,
I was so like this is the struggle of every artist in social media. One is so how do you say this invested in just doing something that other people like, and you feel lost that you haven't really found yourself because you aren't yourself. You are what other people want, and that's just really humiliating in some way. It's something that I think a lot lately because, well, I have most of the things I do too is like also I do commissions and shit. But when you make art your work and you get money from doing art, it creates a big dilemma because, well, I am not doing art for myself. Now I am not doing stuff from my heart, I'm doing stuff for money. And you have to
Yeah,
your identity is like just goes splits in half because you're not drawing from your heart anymore. It's not yourself. I feel like I have
yeah,
to turn off my brain when I have to do commissions because, oh well, I could be doing something else with this, but
yeah.
well, I need to live, I need to eat.
Once money becomes part of the equation, it like siphons a lot of the joy out of anything really. Like you could enjoy doing something and do it every day, but once you have to do it for money, it's like, you know, like I said, it
Yeah,
siphons the
like
joy out
Oscar
of it.
Wilde
Like,
said, when
yeah,
you start thinking about what other people want, you are not an artist anymore, you are a craftsman. So that's why I
yeah,
struggle so much when with this of seeing myself as an artist, because I wasn't really doing something that came from my soul. These last years that I got into furry, that I started doing commissions, I was just doing stuff for other people. I was doing just stuff for likes, for retweets. So I have doing a lot of soul searching lately, and I have been. I feel like I'm growing a lot, very fast because I am trying new things. I am finding things that I enjoy. I am learning to deconstruct my art a little bit, little by little. It's very hard. It's very hard to lose the chains of all that you learned throughout the years as an artist, of all the rules, of all the judgment you can get, but you can do it. Everyone can do it, and everyone should do it because art is the only thing that will make yourself an individual.
okay. I liked your recent work, the batter, like the baseball one. Like it had a
Yeah.
very futurist vibe to it. Was that intentional or like
Yes, it
loosely
was
inspired?
intentional.
But
I
all right,
was
like
trying to
yeah,
learn a little bit from the vanguard, trying to study it. I always thought I tried to do some futurist stuff back then, some months ago, but I instantly gave up because I felt like I can't really do it because futurist art technically has like a lot of blending of colors. It has a very deconstructed and how do you say this, an abstract shapes, and I have never
yeah,
really done that. I had to
yeah.
do an effort to try new things, but
A
that one
big
is the
part
first
of
one.
futurism is capturing like speed or motion on canvas, and like I thought the baseball one or the batter portrayed that very well. Like it reminded me of Giacomo Bella, like his style a lot.
Mhm.
Um, um,
Yeah, I think
but
the
yeah,
best way to describe futurist art is like one of the points Boccioni did in his his manifesto of futurist painters. Art should be in that way that it can really capture how light and speed break the material body, how it breaks the material, how it fragments stuff. So I really like that.
yeah, I liked that one a lot. Like, where else are you planning on going with your art? Well, like, what other influences do you have, or um, like you've kind of experimented with futurism. Well, like, I'm trying to get a feel for like what kind of art, like you're into outside of.
Well, first of all, I'm just just looking in all the vanguards of the 20th century. I really like all of them. I want to try to make my art more abstract, just as a kind of not really as an end, but just something to see if I can really conquer. I want to see if I can make something that I'm proud of without having to draw a perfect body, with how having to draw a perfect figure. I really want to capture feeling and motion and all that stuff without having really to put so much effort into it. A lot of art is really about that. I think that more than technical talent, art is a lot of learning to become efficient and just finding the best way to transmit your feelings.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's that I want to try more expressionist stuff, more cubism stuff. I started doing some cubism for like world building project. So it's a nice way to actually try different things without going insane and thinking, oh my god, what I'm doing, because something artists nowadays struggle is with having different styles, and that is something that bothers us really much, feeling that you don't really have a style to follow, but it's something you have to learn, because one as an artist doesn't really need to have such chains around themselves, you know.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. You shouldn't be too chained down to like some specific style or like dogmatic like point system that you're supposed to follow. You should be
Yeah,
creative and, try out different things. Like, yeah, trying out different things, experimenting, like just like to kind of like accomplish a goal or something. Like, like you did a futurist work and like, um, you can do that style. So like, and finding your own voice with, is that
yeah.
accurate or
Yes,
um
yes. It's all
okay,
about like
okay.
not really. It's very hard because I have been reflecting about this just some little time ago. But yeah, I just feel like I need to be someone, an individual. Like a lot of being an artist, being an individual, and just being different from others. Art is what makes yourself unique, and that's my philosophy from all the years. I always come back to it. I always come back to the unique from Max Stirner. So that's it.
You, yeah, you were mentioning in the chat like your political journey or whatever started out with Max Stirner. Do you want to
Yeah,
talk about your politics at all? Because you do a lot of like historic military kind of pictures. So like there is
yeah,
like a political component to your art. Do you want to talk about your politics a little bit?
yeah. I
Um,
could. I
okay.
I started when I was like around 14 or something. I really was like into different shitposting Facebook groups.
Yeah.
And I remember I was like in an anarchy shitposting Facebook group. Wasn't really shitposting much. It was all about just sharing and debating different shit. And it was a really comfy place. Like there is such a big difference between Facebook anarchist that I remember that was all about just learning and learning from different authors and debating. And now anarchism in Twitter is just Zoomers fighting each other. So that's funny. But well, I was there, and there I just learned about Max Stirner, and I just read it. And it really resonated with me, and I was in such an edgy phase in my life. It was perfect for me, and I felt like after some years, I kind of grew out of it. After that, like I remember that Nazbol gang became a meme, and well, I started to search on other different political stuff. I started to get into actual leftist politics,
Yeah,
but I
you've done
felt
a lot of like Soviet inspired portraits or
yeah.
drawings. Yeah, like
I think it was mostly aesthetical. I really like the aesthetics of Soviet culture, the posters, the architecture,
yeah, a lot of
and
Soviet
it's
like
very
artwork
inspired.
is a lot of Soviet artwork is like really good. So like I definitely get appreciating Soviet culture from like an artistic standpoint or like an aesthetic standpoint. They made a lot of good movies too. Like Sergei Eisenstein is great.
Hmm.
He created like Soviet Montage, which is like this very influential like editing technique that's like used a lot in like fast-paced like action movies. The fact that it's fast-paced and has like the speed component makes it like authentically futurist to me. And there was like Russian futurism. We did the Mayakovsky episode last week.
Yeah,
Uh,
I
so I,
I heard it.
yeah. But yeah. So like, would you identify as like a communist politically, or
Nah,
just okay?
I don't want to
Uh,
identify anymore. I try
yeah.
so much trying to identify with different things, and I just learned that no, actually, I don't really need to identify myself with anything because identifying myself with something is just putting a box around myself, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to bother with that. As often it's stupid. I don't like people who put their political affiliations in their Twitter bio because I feel like they are going to be the most insane people ever. But there are good
Yeah.
people out there. I'm not judging, but it's
Yeah.
just something that I see. People who are obsessed with politics are
Yeah.
extremely boring to me. So
Yeah. People with
that's
like dogmatic convictions and like constantly assimilating themselves to like an ideology from 100 years ago, which is largely like irrelevant to your like actual surroundings and your actual like history and like where you're actually at. Like it's larpy as fuck and it's really gay, but like there's a lot of that shit that goes on. Like at least in internet circles, like they present themselves in that way. Like they probably don't act that way IRL, right? But yeah, I'm definitely against dogmatism. Just
hmm.
like blind idealism towards outdated ideologies. Like be a little more flexible and open-minded, a little more robust, a little more flexible, you know? But
Yeah, that's what
um
I always thought. Like the main reason why I don't call myself a communist is because I don't really agree with all of that. I don't call myself a fascist because I don't really agree on all of that. I don't want to call myself anything. If anything, I am just an anarchist, but because I want to be myself, I'm an anarchist, but in like in an individual sense. I never really got into like the collective part of anarchism. I only read like the Russian original anarchist. That well, they say some nice things, but individual
yeah.
anarchism is where my main spirit is where I am.
Yeah, my background is in anarchism too, and like I ended up gravitating more towards like the individualist strains of anarchism and like things that are downstream of Max Stirner. So I definitely relate to that a lot. I don't know. I'm really into the Italian egoists like Renzo Novatore, Bruno
Yeah, that's
Fellini,
nice.
Enzo
We
Martucci,
have
like
we have some Italian anarchists in Argentina too. Some that were pretty famous over here. We have I don't remember his name right now.
yeah.
I'm searching for it. We have someone that is called Severino Di Giovanni that was a very famous anarchist that actually like got executed by our government, and he was like very into Novatore. He was a writer too, but it's very hard to find his writings. We have a lot of Italian anarchists over here. Basically, our history or workers' right history here in Argentina is just Italian anarchists fucking up things. So
Yeah.
I got a lot into it because of that.
Can you give me 1 sec? I gotta run to the washroom quick. I'll edit
Sure, sure.
the blank out, but yeah, sorry. Be right back.
All right.
All right, sorry about that.
It's a,
Where were we? Individualist anarchism in Argentina.
yeah.
Um, Loosely inspired by, or like how how inspired was it from like Renzo Novatore and Bruno Filippi, guys like that? Uh, so just trying to
You
pick up
mean
where we left off.
you
So
meant this
um,
this guy? We have like Severino Di Giovanni, who just was like a poet, periodist. He was actually an anti-fascist too, so that's also something.
yeah,
I know that he was a poet. He got executed because he did like a lot of robbing. He robbed banks. He was in a gang of anarchists that like used to kill cops and all that shit. I really like illegalism too. Like from what I read, it's very cool, very nice. I was all things edgy back then, so it
yeah,
stuck to me.
yeah. Sounds based. Yeah, like Renzo was also like an anti-fascist, but he liked aspects of futurism. He didn't like the ultra nationalism and stuff like that,
Mhm.
but he was kind of like loosely involved in like futurism, and he liked like Gabriele D'Annunzio and the Free State of Fiume. He like when I say he was anti-fascist, like he didn't like Mussolini and his movement, but he liked a
Yeah.
lot of the early strains of like proto-fascist thought. So like Renzo's not out of place on futurism forever. Like
Mhm.
he's a lot more relevant than a lot of fascists are, to be
Of
honest.
course.
But
Yeah.
but like yeah, my whole recent thing is like I'm trying to like there's a lot of confusion because people think Futurism Forever is like a fascist channel or like and they expect that kind of content or whatever and they're angry that like I don't make that kind of content. But it's like we're a futurist channel. We're mostly focused on art, but like anarchism is not irrelevant to futurism. It's like a pretty important component. I guess what I'm getting towards with this diatribe is like anarcho-fascism, like the Dionysian elements of like the very early fascist movement or proto-fascist movement, and
Mhm.
what would become fascism. It's very like relevant there. And I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that, like D'Annunzio, Fiume?
I'm since I started to read about, well, I should say how I got into futurism in first place. I got into it for a meme, like that meme, like the trad cat versus the futurist. So
Okay, okay,
that's my first the first time I saw futurism explained. But then like I just learned, wow, actually fascism didn't really start the way it is now, and it was something different back then. And I got
yeah,
really inspired by that. I really liked it. I really liked how violent it was, super edgy. I was like how I told you recently, I'm all about edgy stuff. So it was very inspiring for me to see something like that. But I saw it in a moment of my life where I didn't really had I didn't really I wasn't ready to start making different stuff with my art. But it stuck to me, the name and everything. And well, after that, I actually met the Annuncio after looking about the cadentism. I didn't really get into it because of futurism, because I was really a fan of the decadent movement from
yeah,
like studying romanticism and all the vanguards that breached out from it. I really like decadentism. I like the self-indulgence aspect of it. That I really I get really inspired from that. But yeah,
yeah,
I didn't really read anything of from D'Annunzio, but I could learn about Fiume and
yeah,
all his politics, and I find it just awesome that the constitution that we know as the proto-fascist constitution was such a liberal, such uh, a constitution that breached equality between men and women, between different people, between different races. I find that it really settles down my idea that only an artist knows how to rule other people. So yeah, I really like Fume. I like all the history, and I really got into like drawing all stuff, military, all stuff, uh, that kind of shit because I really like the RDT in Fume. I really like the how the World War I Italy military looked like. So a lot of my inspiration comes from that. My
Yeah.
my Gorbunit project is like inspired a lot in Fume. Like I'm just writing like a super liberal world, but with a lot of military, and that is mostly Fume is always my main inspiration for that.
Yeah. So like I guess I'll tell the story. Like how I met Faust was we recently had some drama going on in like internally in FF, and for a few days like I was really black pilled and I didn't feel like doing it anymore, and like I kind of like closed the old channel down and a bunch of shit. I don't want to dwell on that, but it's like
Mm.
I was getting a lot of DMs at the time and like people who actually like missed our content. We're not big or anything, but it's like we have our small cult following of people who really appreciate what we do, and like if we were gone, like these people would miss us anyway. One of them was Faust, who's like drew this portrait of like a female fume soldier with some boobs showing, and it was a huge white pill to me. Like, you know, it really did make my day, and like kind of got me like re-excited about futurism forever, and like kind of got me back on track. So like I really appreciate you like putting the time in to make that for us. And
I'm very happy that you like it.
yeah.
Like I did it because well, I feel like what you do is very nice. I find it nice that you can have futurism forever and not really be all about mainly politics. That is just so many groups all about mindless politics, about mindless fighting, about mindless just trying to I don't know, just trying to share things that no one really cares about. Well, I don't really care about politics. I care about that, and I like when you say that futurism forever is mainly uh, an art sharing. It's about art. It's about sharing light in different artists that can inspire us, that can be relevant today, and can help
Yeah.
us shed some light in what the people from the past thought the future should be.
Yeah.
So I'm happy just to do something for you, for the group, because it really made me, it started to make me think a lot about my art. So I feel grateful for Futurism Forever in that sense.
Well, I'm glad you appreciate what we do, and like we're having some kind of effect on like artistic people or creative people, and like, you know, opening their minds up to new concepts. Also, like I think it is like difficult to talk about futurism without getting into the politics that surround it. I don't think it's our role to be like totally apolitical either. I think there is
Yeah,
like a balance between the two things, but like
yeah, of
our main
course.
focus has always been like the like we want to inspire culture through art or whatever. Like on a very small scale, I get like we're a small channel. We're not like e-celebs or anything like that. We're all very down to earth and humble, and like we know where we're at in the pecking order as far as like that goes. We're not even out for e-fame though. We're mostly out to like network and meet creative like-minded people. So like, you know, when you send things like you did, like it means a lot, like, you know. And you know, I'm glad like people who are actually like involved in the art world like are appreciating our content, art listening, and yeah, hopefully that continues to be the case for the foreseeable future. Like the whole politics side of things though is toxic, and it leads to all kinds of drama and infighting constantly that like it's not even what we want to do. We want to talk about cool art and like mostly be a positive channel.
Mhm.
But you know, I'm glad you enjoyed it though. And
Yeah, in the end, like
Yeah.
doing what you do, like trying to inspire culture, trying to inspire new things, is what Marinetti wanted to do when creating his manifesto of futurist art. So
Yeah.
that's right. That's what a futurist should be doing: trying to inspire culture, trying to inspire art, trying to get into politics, because trying to create culture is something political
Yeah.
inherently. There's a lot of it, but it's always not politics from the sake of politics, because people think politics is a hobby nowadays. It's just a means to an end, for me at least.
Yeah. I mean, like from my view, I think like politics is largely downstream from culture, and there's no real precedent in American or Canadian culture for like fascism. So like you got to start with the culture first, or like at least do things on a like local scale, and like try and like build inroads with in real life communities and stuff, like make politics relevant to people's real lives. And
Mhm.
there's none of that. There's just like a bunch of spurging about shit that happened like 100 years ago, where like minute fucking details about this or that, like
Yeah,
um it's also tiresome. I mean, politics is a drag, like but anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. I'm just kind of talking.
yeah, it's alright. I like the mindless babbling. I enjoy just
Yeah.
talking like this. I'm not really used to talk to people, like meeting new people, so I was kind of nervous, but like the
Yeah.
talk just makes me more relaxed. So it's good for me. No need to say sorry.
Okay. Okay. What else? I mean, like, I don't know, just get to know you as a person. Like, what kind of music do you like?
Oh, I like a lot of music. That's a hard question. I like a lot of things from Italian disco. I love Italian disco. I have been listening to Regueira a lot. I find it very interesting how Regueira is inspired by futurism. A lot of Italian disco is inspired by futurism. That's something very nice to know. I also like, well, my favorite genre of metal is stoner metal. I don't smoke
Okay.
weed
Okay.
though.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
I am used to listen to K-pop a lot. I like listening to new metal too. I like neo folk, a lot of stuff. So
All over
I'm
the.
not. I'm just a little bit from everything. I don't limit myself.
Which new metal bands do you like? Because when I was young, that was like peak new metal era. So like
Uh,
Limp Bizkit was like top 40 at that point in time. Um,
I'm listening to a lot of Deftones right now, but I think it's not the greatest
okay.
example because Deftones is like atemporal right now. It's perennial. It just stands
Yeah.
strong in time. They make new things. They make awesome stuff. So I don't think it's the
D-
best example to say. I have been
Deftones.
listening to Slipknot. I
Deftones.
listened to Korn. I listened to, well, Limp Bizkit. Though I'm really ashamed to say that I listened to Limp Bizkit. But yeah, I enjoy it from time
They
to
kind of
time.
have their charm, to be honest. Deftones are like bigger than new metal though. They were definitely part of that
Yeah,
strain of like mid to late 90s, early 2000s culture. And like yeah, but like they did kind of they weren't like they were part of it, but they were always more than that. Like I think they're the new metal band that has definitely like lived or like held up over the years. Like they don't sound dated. Around the Fur is still a great album. Adrenaline is still a great album. White Pony is
yeah,
still a great album. Like I can still listen to Deftones and not cringe. Whereas when I listen to Limp Bizkit now, it's like, what did I like about that? Yeah, I was like 11, 12 at the time, so like I'm allowed to have bad taste. But it's like even still, there's like they had a reunion or whatever, and like Fred Durst dressed up as like an old man or whatever for it, which is funny to me.
yeah.
But yeah, they sold like 10 million albums of Significant Other or something, and only a handful of bands have ever done that. Like, I feel like Gen Z doesn't get like how big Limp Bizkit was at the time. Um,
Yeah,
what
I
is it?
think that Zoomers get into Limp Bizkit and some new metal just because of the aesthetic. For some reason, Zoomers have now Y2K nostalgia and are listening to
Yeah.
bands that were great in 2000, but it's in like an ironic way for some reason. It was kind of ironic for me because, well, I did listen to new metal when I was like 13, but they were dated already. I didn't live through the hype of new metal. I didn't really live through the time when they were big. And now I got back to it, and some of the stuff sounds dated to me. I cringed to some stuff, and well, Summers do listen to this music in a post-ironic way.
Yeah, I mean, Deftones are definitely the cream of the crop. They were like the
Yeah,
best band to emerge from that. Um, the first couple Korn albums are good, still good, I guess. Everything after Follow the Leader is kind of whack to me. Um, I don't know who else. Like Mudvayne was a big band. Like there was all those bands with like that wore like face paint or whatever or masks. Like Slipknot did that
yeah,
too. Um, there was like Coal Chamber and the like the more gothy contingent. It was a kind of diverse little subgenre of alternative metal or something. But I don't know, nostalgia
yeah.
for late 90s.
I guess
um,
I now remember like the main reason why I got into new metal is because all the anime music videos were made with that kind of music. So like I remember hearing a lot of Papa Roach songs in Naruto MAVs.
yeah,
It really brings the memories back to me at 20-year-old Summer.
yeah. Infest by Papa Roach was a good album. It had that song like Last Resort about like teen suicide or whatever. It was a good song though. It had like that catchy guitar line or whatever.
Mhm.
I definitely remember that shit. Um, I'm like reminiscing on like the late '90s though. I saw like Papa Roach at Ozfest in
Oh,
2001.
that's awesome.
Yeah, I thought they were like, and like Marilyn Manson played in Slipknot and Black Sabbath with Ozzy. And that was like the main
Mm,
draw. But yeah,
that's
Papa
amazing.
Roach were like one of the opening bands. Linkin Park was there. Like, yeah, Young Hatebreed was there before like metalcore really like replaced new metal as the thing. But like that was starting to happen in the early 2000s. Um, yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that, but
Yeah, it's
Ozfest,
nice for
bro.
me to also get to know you because we haven't really spoke much.
No, yeah, this is our first time talking in voice.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I sometimes I when I see you people like talking in voice chat, sometimes I really want to get into it, but I'm too shy and I don't want to be the only woman there, knowing that there are so many gay people that hate women.
Melon Tip's not gay. Or, like Melon Tip is like I don't know. I don't know what his deal is. Sorry, he's kind of a dick. I mean, I think he's a bit of an incel or something, and he has an issue with women. Um, you're cool as far as I'm concerned, though. If anyone's like being mean to you or whatever, just let me know when
Yeah,
I'll
I
sort
don't
them
really
out.
get. I
But
kind of just said it
yeah,
like lighthearted because well, I'm just shy in general, and like, it's the
yeah,
first time that I get in something in a group like this, like as a woman. It was really hard for me to actually get into political stuff, being
yeah,
like presenting as a female because well, everyone's just surprised when they say, "Oh my
yeah.
God, you're a woman! No, you must have a dick." Well, I don't really care
Well,
what people think about that. Like, I could have a dick for the sake of it. I don't really care.
I mean, yeah, like the fact that there are women on online, like, has thrown some guys into a an existential crisis or whatever. I think Melantip is kind of going through that. He actually believes there are no women online. You
Damn.
know, yeah, he's a nice guy though. I mean, I think he means well. He's just like,
Yeah, I don't really have any problem with people in this group so far. I think
yeah,
you are all cool people. I don't like when
yeah,
you
we're
fight,
like.
though. I don't like when people fight.
Most of that is just like shit posting or just like
You
boys being
usually all
boys,
cast
like
match.
Alcaz is a good kid, but we give him a hard time because like he's into like Nordicism and shit. He says he isn't, but like
Oh, that's gay.
he'll always defend these like ridiculous talking points, like we was the real Romans and shit. But read Tacitus, like I give a shit. Like he's one of the few like Germanic people in the chat, and like most like right wing chats or whatever, kind of like Germanic hug boxes. So he's not used to being the minority. And he
Hmm.
gets treated how Italians get treated in all of those other chats. So
Yeah, I
he's
find
the
that very
oddball out
funny.
person. Yeah, I mean, if I start a chat, there's no way that like Northern Europeans are gonna like have dominance over it or preference. It's not gonna happen. Um, he's dealing. I mean, I was kind of hoping he could help co-host this interview actually because he's like way more knowledgeable on like Zoomer culture and
Hmm.
anime and like I don't know. I don't want to say he's like knows about furry stuff because I don't think he's involved in that at all. But I like yeah, I'm kind of like a boomer who's like out of touch with like young people today, which is why we talk about new metal and like Oscar Wilde and Dante and Faust and Goethe and like all that shit instead.
Yeah.
But Faust is a really talented artist and drawer, and yeah, she's FF fam. We appreciate her. She's cool as shit. And yeah, I guess like we're wrapping up now. So,
Good.
any final thoughts for the FF audience or anything you want to plug? Where can people see your work or anything like that?
Oh, well, the only place I really post my work is like my Twitter is at Toffee underscore 32. And well, I also post a lot of babbling there. So if maybe some people don't want to see that, but my Twitter is like safe for work. I don't post porn, I don't share porn, anything like that. I keep it safe. But if anyone wants to see my art, to follow my journey, you can follow me over there.
Okay, I'll drop your Twitter link in the description and hopefully people can branch out from there. Anyway, thanks for talking to us. It was great talking to you voice to voice. And yeah, best of luck with your future endeavors. I look forward to seeing like your more recent work as it develops. Um, yeah.
Well, I'm flattered to have this conversation too. Very happy I could get to meet you too and get to know more about you and futurism forever and everything. As you said, I'm like super grateful for this and grateful for all those little things that actually make me think a little bit of who I am as an artist, who I want to be. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Very flattered
Okay.
for the support and well, that's it.
All right. Salute. Until next time, take it easy. Peace.
Bye bye.